Hey, welcome back to a Well-Rounded Life podcast. Geomyra here, and this episode is going to be like no other because I am currently recording this from Greece. I am in Mykonos with my husband and my brother and my sister-in-law, and I am actually super nervous at how this episode is going to go because this is take 1,000 from what we have already done. We are doing some behind the scenes footage, which you can catch on our YouTube channel, so you can see all the shenanigans that has happened thus far. But I wanted to bring my husband on the show because I talk about him a lot. I mentioned him on the podcast, I talk about him on social media, and I just wanted you guys to get a more behind the scenes look of how we interact, our marriage, and just him in general, because like I said, I speak about him a lot. The other thing I thought would be cool is that my brother and sister-in-law are in town, and I thought it would be a fun component to actually have a guest or 2 or 3 on the show because I've been recording solo thus far. I am going to warn you that this is a candid conversation with questions that I polled the audience on. I went on Instagram and Facebook and I asked everyone, what questions do you have for us about marriage, our children, relationships, or just things you want to know about us individually. So the questions that I'm asking are questions that you guys want to know about. And then my brother and sister are going to jump in and give us some more content to add to today's show. So again, it's going to be random, going to be some shenanigans, but I hope you get some insight, and this episode is going to be a little bit more fun and a little bit light. So first off, I want to welcome my husband, aka BFF, hubby, and whatever else I've called you thus far.
Snugglebud.
Negative. Welcome to the show. Welcome to A Well-Rounded Life. Officially, welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
It's great to be here.
Is it?
I bet it's lovely.
Whatever. Again, you guys, this is going to be crazy, so no judgment. Don't give us any crazy negative reviews. This is just, again, a light and fun episode. All right, husband, so welcome to the show.
Got a name.
You just what?
I got a name.
You have a name?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. His name is Philip. My husband's name is Philip. Philip, would you like to do an intro? You do have a name.
That's good.
It's good, Philip?
Philip, how are you?
Oh my God, stop. All right, Philip is on the show. And funny thing is I do call him Philip when I am talking to him. Everybody else calls him Phil, but he's my Philip. All right, Philip. So these questions are going to be in the most random order ever. And here we go. Let's see. Well, first off, let's do background. How did we meet, Phil? Where did we meet? Give some insight to how we kind of got to this space. How did we get here 100 years later?
Let's see. When did I fall in love with hip hop?
Oh my gosh.
Where did we meet? We met in high school.
We did.
You were sweating me a little bit.
Oh my God. Stop.
No, I was kidding.
Please.
We met in high school. I was 10th grade, you were 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Officially met.
Mm-hmm.
Years went by. Fast forward to my senior year, your junior year,
Mm-hmm.
and little stories in between,
A lot of stories in between.
and then the rest is history.
Kind of, sort of. Yeah, so we dated in high school, and then we both went off he went off to college. I was a homebody. I stayed local and went to college.
You went there too.
Yeah, people really thought that I went to his college because I was there every weekend supporting you.
Right.
I was a very supportive girlfriend.
Indeed.
And so I went to his high school like whenever he had a home game. But I think people really thought that I went to school because I was always there, staking my claim. And I would say that we dated all through our college years, and then you went to grad school, and then shortly after you graduated, we got engaged, which my brother claims we just found out that he never knew when we got engaged. He said he just showed up to a wedding with a tux, which I still find hard to believe. But we got.
You mad that I asked you?
Yeah, I remember. You asked me to be in a wedding.
No, you mad that I asked you?
He said, "Are you mad that you didn't ask him?"
Oh, well. Nah.
You were young.
I was younger.
Yeah, my brother is younger than us, and so basically,
I'm the father figure.
you are not the father figure.
I asked your mom.
He did ask my mom and my stepdad. Yeah.
I think you would call George.
And you called him, that guy, yeah. I would say that the funny thing is, we've been together more years than not at this point. So when Phil met my little brother, he was legit a little brother. So he's been in his life for like ever, just for a long time. And they actually like each other now, so that's good.
After that incident.
There was this one time. Yeah, so we dated all through high school and college, and then we got married pretty, I would say young, which will lead us into our first question. We got engaged when I was 23, and you were 24. And so one of the questions
I
that
wasn't young then.
you don't,
I didn't see y'all. It's crazy in my eyes looking at it now. Y'all didn't see me young, but now I didn't know y'all was that young.
Yeah.
That is young now. But I think about some people that got married that young, that's super young.
Right. So we were 23 and 24 when we got engaged, but the thing is we had been together since we were 16 and 17.
That might be what it is then.
So it just felt natural, like the next step for us, because we had been together for so long.
So, but if you look at somebody else now that's 23 and they said they're engaged,
yeah.
it kind of looks
Young.
Yeah.
Not to me.
Well,
It just makes me think they've been together forever.
But when you look at like 16 and 17, you're still kids. But I will say that when I think about us, there's not much that has changed. Like we literally grew up together, but I still feel like we are growing together. Like I don't think that we've stopped progressing. I just think that we keep becoming new people in alignment with each other. I don't think that anything else is. This is all we know, and it feels good. So
engaged at 23, married
24 and 25. We was only engaged for a year. Yeah, it was like a
25 is
when you think you're like an adult.
Yeah. I prefer 27 though. That seems like
Why 27?
it's like a
It
solid.
should depend on the person. You know what I mean? How mature that
I don't know, maybe 23 just keeps sticking out of my head. That seems
You
like,
thinking about the craziness you did at 23?
no, maybe it's in the military. A lot of people get married young.
They do.
So
But you know
they marry
your-
people from like back home and it's like,
But you also know your sister. So you're like 23. I was still like
that's why I said at the time it seemed like you were older than 23.
always
That's maybe what it is then.
right.
It seemed like it was okay, but now.
You don't think it was a good idea?
No. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just you because you're my older sister. I don't know.
Yeah.
23 seems good.
So one of the questions that we asked is, do we regret getting married so young? And I'll let you answer that first, Phil.
I mean, I just said it. I don't feel like I was young. I feel like it was like the next step. Being with you since I was in high school. I don't know. It was always a goal at some point. So.
To marry me?
Yeah. I was just waiting to get a job. I didn't have a job coming out of school.
You did not?
So I just had to get my money up, my labs up.
Talk about that. You asked her to marry. Hold on, you proposed to her without a job?
He had a job.
You didn't hear what I said.
No, so you said you graduated without a job.
I graduated, and I said the next step was to get married. I just needed a job. So when I proposed to her, I actually had a job.
Oh, okay, all right. I understand.
You trying to?
Actually, I had two.
He had multiple jobs now.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
All right.
Don't comfort him. Thank you.
So yeah.
He looked at you like, hold up. Wait.
I was like,
She probably more mad at you than you said yes.
because Tiki probably like,
No.
No, she was ready for it.
Yeah.
She used to throw subliminals and her friends like, wait, how long have you been together?
I think that's the thing. And I think people felt like it was the next move. So I don't regret getting married young at all. Like you said, it just felt like the next step from our seasonette and chapter that we were in. And it just felt right. So we got married and we've been just trucking along ever since. So it's good. Okay. Another question that was asked is, how do we, back up. We've been married in the next few months. It'll be 11 years. We've been married for 11 years in August. And a long time. And the number one question that we got asked is, how do we keep it spicy? Someone asked. Someone said, how do we keep it, just basically, how do we keep it spicy, interactive, fun, and just keep trying to keep it really PG for this, but how do we basically deal with each other and keep it fresh after being together for legit more than half our lives at this point? And again, this is a PG show. Yeah, you can.
Yes, that's my brother here is PG.
Yeah, so him here is PG.
How do we keep it funky fresh?
Oh my gosh.
I think it's just important to remember how we fell in love,
Mm-hmm.
and continue to, do that same thing, step it up even further. I don't know, just I think we have, like you said, we connect at a level where we keep growing together. So being able to have new achievements and experience new things with you is always, in my opinion, exciting enough.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that we implemented from when we were engaged, because the crazy thing is when we got engaged, we had 5 jobs between the two of us. We've always been people who were driven and hustlers and motivated. So when we got engaged, when we were paying for a wedding and we were buying a house, we had 5 jobs and we didn't see each other much. And so what we implemented at the time was that we had a weekly date night. And that has not changed in the 12 years since we implemented it, because we did it when we were engaged. Right. And so we have date day, date night. You can see it on our Instagram stories that we...
PG night.
Yeah, we called it PG night. And it basically meant a dedicated date night. And the way that we stick to it is that we treat it like a business meeting. You can't, if your boss puts a meeting on your calendar, there's nothing you can do about it.
Our friends even call us, like, it was a PG night.
Yeah, if our friends knew we were out, nobody bothered us. Our friends, it was a legit scheduled appointment that we basically said that it's non-negotiable because we made each other priority. I think a lot of people will say, oh, we'll have a date night, and then they'll let the most random things take it off their calendar, and that's not giving the person the same respect that you would give a business meeting or your friends or even your kids. Because
but also, let's take a step further. Like also PG night is dedicated time, but we don't just go like chill. Like I'll dress up, cut my hair, look nice. You do the same thing, put an outfit on, spice it up, versus us just eating popcorn and watching Netflix.
So it's like
we're like dating.
It's like taking
you're courting the person.
Exactly.
Yeah, like it's a date, and I've always felt the philosophy that my mom always used to say, "What you won't do, somebody else will," and it's
how you start.
Yeah, how you start is how you finish. It was something my mom always told me. So if you're a person that is ironing your man's clothes, you cooking him meals, you trying to get him, then you get a ring and you get married to him and then you fall off, and because of whatever I don't think that's fair. I've never thought that was fair for people to start something that they couldn't finish. If you need to back it up. And so for me, I feel like people think it's a hard work is getting the person. I think the hardest thing is keeping the person, because it can be stale. So if people ask, how do you keep it fresh? We treat each other like we're still dating. Nobody asked funky fresh. That was not the question.
I think that's the best advice you ever gave me. As far as relationship, you told me never stop dating my wife. I think that was good advice.
Well, I appreciate that.
Because, like you said, it's sometimes you're like, man, we do the same thing every day. Sometimes, like, hey, what you doing this weekend? She's like, what? It just throws her off. Or like, let's do this, let's do that. And like, or they even ask her, like, we doing this, we doing that. Or clear your schedule, yada, yada.
Right.
It's like you don't even live with the person. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I like stuff like that.
I think I challenge you guys, if you are listening and you don't date your spouse, or it's been a minute since you've had a date night, to start slow. Because again, don't start nothing and be like, oh, let's do a date night every week if you're not used to doing that. But pick one day a month, and then maybe do 2 a month. And then if you do 2 a month, then have the husband do one of the dates and the wife, or 2 husbands, 2 wives, whatever it is. Have each person be responsible for planning a date. And if money is the issue, then you can challenge each other to see who could come up with the best date night on a certain budget. Because some people feel like, oh, I can't spend a lot of money on a date. A date can be a movie. If you can't afford to go to the movies because you're in a building season, you can go to walk somewhere. Yeah.
So to play devil's advocate, what if somebody keeps saying, oh, every Friday night I got a date? Why not switch days and do spontaneous nights? It could be like, all right, we're going to date one day a week, but it's no telling when the date's going to be there.
I think.
How about that?
It depends on
the schedule.
No, that, and also, like the status of their family, I guess. Because we couldn't do that at this point with the kids and babysitters and all that.
Yeah, he'll come in my office.
But
and
we
say,
used to do that.
we could when we didn't have children.
Yeah.
Now and if I'm busy, like working on a launch or working on like a project, he'll say, I know you're really busy and you're working on something, but I want to know which day works best, and then we'll schedule it.
That's another thing. So who asks who out? Are you actually asking them out, or is it like, all right, we know Friday we're doing something? Who plans what? Like, how do you decide like what's happening Friday? Is it up to the man, like Phil, to say, all right, tomorrow we doing this?
I don't remember what we did
Now or back then?
back then. Oh, now it's just kind of
Random.
yeah.
Back then, I think we are big movie people, or we were. That's kind of how we connected.
I am.
He's a big movie person.
And Peyton took over.
And my daughter and my husband go to movies without us, but we were big movie people, so we were like, oh, the new movie came out, we're going to Tuesday night, because we could before we had kids. And now we go on Wednesdays in the middle of the day, because it's a bargain movie night or movie day on Wednesdays at the theater. But honestly, it doesn't matter, and I think if everybody knows their responsibility, you can look at the calendar for the month, and again, you put on the calendar. Now, some days we have to shift because of life, but you still got to find time to make it a priority.
But I think taking turns at school.
Yeah.
Like switching it up.
That's what we do for Valentine's Day too. People don't realize. I get the odd years, he gets the even years. So it's not just we're not big on Valentine's, but we still find time to kind of recognize it. It's very cliche, but I get the odd years to plan, and he plans the even years, and then we see who, I had it last year, so let's see if she can top it. And again, topping it isn't financial. It's not about the money. It's just about who can be creative and fun. So anyway, a lot of people ask about our date nights and how to keep it spicy, and we just have fun with it. And again, if you're a person who hasn't gone on dates in a while, or you got a little stale, just think about how you got the person and how excited you were when the person wanted to take you out somewhere, and reignite that into your relationship if you can, and have designated time. Okay, well then I'll go into the next question of how do we find balance with both of our busy careers? And let me just give some insight. So we're both, I would say, in like sales positions where we very much have to sell, and my husband's motto as far as like sales is concerned is what?
Eat what you kill.
You eat what you kill.
Shout out Uncle Sharif.
Yes, Uncle gave him that, you eat what you kill, which means that if you're not putting in the energy, you're not putting in the work, you're not eating. So you have to go out there and get it. And because we both are in jobs that are 100% commission, we are very much driven and motivated, which means that we are very much working and around the clock. And so we've had to get very much, respectful of the fact of somebody needing to close a deal or talk to a client in need or whatever. So the question is, how do we find balance with both of our busy careers? And I don't really like the word balance, but I guess how do we find time with our busy careers?
I think just setting an intentional time, like you always say, with our kids, with each other, work. Peyton and I have a snack party once a week, every Tuesday.
I'll get into that one.
Okay.
That's another question we have.
Yeah. So anyway, just having dedicated time apart from your job, so it doesn't feel like you work 24/7.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Even like your meditation time, I feel like I have time to just on my own to do whatever.
Right.
I
think for me, when people say how do you balance, we again make each other priority, so that anything that he has to do or if I have to do, it's okay because he took care of me first and vice versa. So everything else just kind of falls in line. And then someone wants to know, how do you, what does it say? Advice for supporting your spouse through the peaks and the valleys of their sales careers when they are killing it in sales or killing it booking clients, and then some days they don't have nothing on the books. How do you support them? I'll answer it first.
Yeah. I feel like
you always popping?
No. I just feel like you do the same thing you always do. Like, why would you change it? I'm confused.
I think the question basically people are asking, like, how do you support
so when you up, I'm like, oh, what's up? And then when you down, I'm like,
No. I think the question more is like, if I'm not feeling like I'm killing the game and I'm hard on myself, how do you say, hey babe, it's gonna be okay, or I
We
see
start
you
down
working.
B. Everyone, no, I was kidding. I don't know. I feel like just I feel like we just know what to say to each other. I feel like we do the same thing as if I don't know. It's just another. That's a hard question because I don't feel like I changed.
I guess what she's saying is, you always. I mean, what you're saying is like, oh, I'm always this good husband. She's saying,
Well, not even
when
that.
you're down, what do you do extra to help her uplift her? Like she's saying, like, is there a way to make her feel better outside of what you're doing
If
normal?
I'm having a really bad, like, anything, how do you make sure I feel like everything's gonna be okay?
I just reassure you, whatever you're going through. First, I'll listen and figure out what's going on. And if it's a situation where you're not booking clients or you're not where you want to be, I just reassure you all the how far you've come.
That's
and
true.
you look back and you say, oh, okay. Because you're hard on yourself. We're the hardest judges on ourselves.
And
So-
I think the same with you, where I always try to remind him that you have to stop and smell the roses.
Right.
Like he's always like, it's never enough, which is good. You never want a man that's content necessarily. You want somebody that's driven and focused, who wants to be promoted, who wants the next step, who wants to bring in more to make sure his family is taken care of. So I love that about him. But I think where I feel like I'm supportive is where I tell you to say, look, dude, you've done a lot and you take care of a lot of people and your heart's in the right place. So be cool with that and know that you're going to be fine as you continue to hustle.
Right.
So I think that's...
You gotta stop and look at your achievements every once in a while.
Yeah, definitely stop and look at your achievements. I think that's
Some
important.
people say don't do that because it kind of slows you down.
You
Like,
can-
like so you're so driven that you would never, even if you stop to smell roses,
You would never
it would
be
still keep
satisfied.
going. Some people are like, all right, I made it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good now. And they would kind of
You
slow
still
down.
gotta reset your goals.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's called like,
once you hit your
like
goals,
math.
Yeah.
cross them off and then make some new ones, keep it moving.
But you also got to stop and thank God for your blessings.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the biggest thing, where we sometimes have to say, Lord, thank you. But let's,
Maybe I missed it, but did you say what you do to him to make him?
yeah,
Yeah.
stop and say, look, dude.
Same thing, just
Yeah,
your achievements.
yeah, I think we're good there. Okay, I think the next question, what do you do to keep the other person motivated in their career when it's a lot that we have to manage?
I feel like with you, you're one that's very self-motivated. I always tell you that glad your drive and ambition will be super rich right now. Yeah, you don't do the bets that be trying to, we have little side bets and sales goals and all that. You're not with it. So
Yeah, I'm not competitive with
Yeah.
other people. I'm more competitive with myself.
you have your own goals and
Right.
you'll write them out and we hold each other accountable.
We very much do.
But again, you're very much self-driven.
I am.
So I don't know if I do much
You know, the funny thing,
motivating you. I don't
the
know.
funny thing is you say that about me, but then I look at how hard you work and I'm like, one day I'll get to where you are because you're very much competitive there.
I'm competitive for sure.
Do y'all feel like y'all feed off each other? Like, Phil's working hard, so I'm working hard, or
I do.
Yes, I do.
Do you?
Yes, because I don't know anybody that works harder than him.
You
Thank you. But for me, I feel like you work around the clock. You don't stop until it's done. You are a man that first priority is to take care of his family. You will make sure everybody around you is fed before you even take a crumb. And I think that that's just amazing. And I'm not even gonna say lucked out. I don't believe in luck, but I've got the biggest blessing in knowing that I have somebody that's gonna make sure that we're good and we're taken care of. So I think that's awesome.
could have been with the rumor mill.
You said the rumor mill.
You could have been with the rumor mill.
What are you talking about?
You-
Another question. Well, someone asked what have I put in place to remind us to be present, but I think the dates are good there. I think that was the answer. What advice do you have for a wife or a spouse that is struggling to find balance, or someone that is hard on themselves? Side note, again, we're on vacation, so this chat is filled with a whole bunch of spirits and giggles. So I'm going to repeat the question. The question says, what advice do you have for a spouse that is struggling and that someone that is down on themselves? You feel like you answered that one?
I do.
Okay, so we're good.
Be right with you.
All right. We're both in sales, so one of the questions is best sales advice for people who have to sell every day. You're a salesperson. You guys, we were so good.
I know.
We were so good.
It's my fault. I was sick.
Philip, come
I'm
on.
sorry.
You picked your cup.
No, it's not the cup. It's just an inside joke. It's funny. All right, sorry. All right, sorry. What's the question?
The next question is best sales advice for people who have to sell every day.
It's sales advice for someone to sell every day.
Hold on a second.
Always be closing.
Wait.
Oh.
The next question we have is what advice do you have for people that are in sales? People that may be a creative or someone in the industry that has to sell every single day.
That's not my fault that time. It's over, dog. Come on.
I know, what are you laughing at? We're doing so.
Come on, little bitch. No, it's for the.
Ew.
I thought what Bill said, I'm gonna get right with you. I'm good. All right.
Okay.
He said, he's telling me right with you. Yeah, you hear Bill say that though. Y'all mad at me.
I took it.
Listen,
Are we done?
right. If Bill said it, I'm gonna
Still
get right
not ready.
with you. Hold on, Dwight.
I'm good.
Oh,
No. Dwight,
Get it
Bill
out.
said I'm gonna get right with you.
I heard him, and I kept it moving.
Right. We all kept moving. You messed me up because you.
He said, I'm gonna get right with you. I'm good. I'm sorry. Me too.
Don't look at me, Dave.
I'm
Don't
ready
give
to
me those
go.
eyes.
All right.
27
Captain
minutes
Marvel
in.
eyes.
All right.
Captain Marvel. All right, 1,
I'm good.
2. Hold on, make it
Oh,
up.
sorry, I forgot.
1, 2, 3. The next question we have is best sales advice for people who have to sell every day. You know, I work with a lot of creatives, and you and I both do sales jobs. So what sales advice would you have for someone that has to get up every single day like us to sell?
Sales advice. I mean, a classic, always be closing. ABC. Follow up is everything. Stay persistent. And just be a master of your craft. I feel like that's what will set you apart from everyone else. Know your competition, be a master of your craft. Yeah, just be a master of your whatever you're selling.
I think that's solid. I can't think of anything else better than that.
I mean, what's like?
Why you guys sound mean like?
Yeah, both in sales. Like, what's y'all like? Everybody has a go-to move.
Go-to move?
Yeah, like what's y'all like driving point to like? All right, everything else is failing, but this should work. Is there anything like you put yourself in their shoes? Like, what do y'all do to like sell what y'all trying to get them?
I think people buy results and experience. So for me, I don't.
That's easier for you because your record speaks for itself. How does Phil say, "Come by this house"?
I'm right here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying like, so how do you say like?
When other people don't know.
Yeah, like they don't know you from a can of paint. So it's like
For me, so I'm new home sales, so I'm selling against other new home neighborhoods and some resale as well. So for me, it's always, again, I need to know what's going on around me. So when someone comes in, I know the area. Again, I'm the expert in my community, expert in my product, expert in my competition. They come in, I know what they're looking at, and then you just have to know your customers. Everyone's different. There's no go-to move, but you have to know every kind of every part. Yeah. So you got to know financing. So I'm dealing with a younger buyer. That's for first time homeowner. I got to know about the tax benefits. I got to know about everything that they may be worried about. Because
Overcoming objections
is all about people's mostly concerns. So if you can be a master in your product and community financing, whatever it is, then you can overcome pretty much most objections.
So it's not really just, it's also selling, but it's also researching.
Absolutely.
Knowing everything, ins and outs of everything. So
You
people think you sell a house, it's like,
It's not
Oh,
nothing.
so
No,
no,
I think a
no.
lot of it is knowing people's pain points.
Well, that's the thing. When people come in, a lot of my sales come from people like, man, I don't feel like you press me, but you do in your own way.
He's Phil, if you know his personality, he's not aggressive.
mm,
He will sell something because he's relatable and he
Yeah.
makes people feel comfortable, and he's solid with knowing his environment, his people. So he is 2 steps ahead with knowing what the objections are. Like if somebody comes in with something, he already has the solution or how to answer it, and he's very understanding that his product is not for everybody. Just like my coaching services aren't for everybody. I'm not going to sell you something you don't need, but I can guarantee you that if you invest in me or in him, if you invest in his product, that it'll be the best investment that you made.
Because it's good customer service.
Yeah,
You
customer
gotta
service.
have good customer service.
and that's another thing too. So if somebody comes to you and say, hey, I want you to coach me,
Mm-hmm.
but they're like, you have no drive or vision or your idea is terrible.
You know, they're not my client. Just like if somebody comes to him and saying they want a backyard and they want 10 acres, those aren't his people. And you have to be okay in sales to let the people go and not be greedy.
Right.
Because if you are genuine, you'll get more clients, you'll get more sales, and it'll come back to you versus just trying to shove a product down somebody's mouth.
So if somebody comes to you paying you to coach them,
It's not,
you'll
not about
no, it's not about
so you'll deny them.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, that's good. That's principles. That's good.
Yeah, because then your
Because
clients vouch for you.
Right, you'll get more customers from the clients that are happy
Yeah.
versus the clients that are not a good fit
Complaining,
and complaining.
you know, yeah.
And it's so much stress dealing with them all day, every day, and it's not
Yeah.
a good fit.
I used to say that with wedding planning. I'm not gonna just take your money to be your planner, and then I have to live with working with you for a full year, and you're miserable, I'm miserable. And when you're a rookie, you make those mistakes because you want to get paid. It's not even worth it. So I always tell people that if it's not for you, it's not for you. But if you treat them well, like he said, customer service, and you take care of them, they're gonna tell their friends, they're gonna tell his family, they're gonna want to work with you again or buy your product because it was meant for them. So I think that's
I like
important.
that. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. A question I have, Phil, is what is a tip that you have for somebody that is married to a creative or an entrepreneur?
That's the end of the question.
That's a question. What tip do you have for somebody that's married to a creative entrepreneur? You remember, think back to the days when we first got married, and I was like 2 years into my business, and I remember I would come home from a 9 to 5, get on the computer and work hours.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off. This is a perfect scenario. We argued about this with that movie, that Tyler Perry movie.
Which one? What do you
No, with Tar Pit.
Taraji P. Henson movie.
Yeah. Is
Acrimony.
Is that too much of support? When do you cut off the support and say, you know what, I'm done?
That
When do
movie
you
was
take-
tricky to
That
me.
was very
It was. So
I don't
when-
think either one of them was wrong for what they did, because it's like
No, she was definitely wrong at the end.
at the end, but she dealt with him for like 100 years before he finally got his money.
But- I'm sorry,
it was a family got involved and messed. From what I recall from
The family did get involved and do all that, but also my family or not, he was straight.
He was tripping though,
Thank you.
but it worked out. And
Luckily.
but he paid her.
We know that.
So was it about the money or was it about him?
But like, I would say luckily, because we don't believe
She cashed out.
But he did his thing. But
But he wiped her
how
teeth.
could you go so far?
But he paid her back.
But nobody interfered
Tenfold.
with teeth. Yeah, Philip, but come
It's
on
not.
now.
She supported him. Kudos to her. And
So she was wrong?
no, listen. Like you said, in the beginning, I wouldn't have did it. That was a lot.
Oh, okay.
I'm
That's
honest.
just you on the same page now.
There's no way, because he didn't work.
Thank you. That's what he's asking.
So-
What is the
What's the guy being cut off?
But
honestly when
she
you're
hit the
instant-
lottery.
Phil,
He paid her back how much?
everybody keep
10 million?
paying the lottery. You're gonna win some point.
She's more invested in the lifestyle and the dreams that he had. And
But he-
everything he wanted, it was another chick there. So that's what made her
I
go
think it was more or less love than
She loved
vision.
him. She didn't
She
care
did.
about all of that.
No, she's crazy though.
But do y'all have a cutoff?
What do you mean?
Is there like, all right, I believe in your goals, but babe, we gotta pay the bills first. Where's the cutoff where you say, all right, I believe in your dreams, but this is reality?
We're on our way there. It's like, no.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Because I feel her.
So here's what I think.
It's
I
crazy.
feel like when you go into a dream or a new business idea like that,
Mhm.
you gotta be on the same page. Kind of like we talked about earlier on the show. We had to go like you gotta someone stay with you,
Oh yeah.
and you gotta have kind of not a cutoff, but kind of a firm like this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
That movie, for example, that was just way off. I mean, that was what 10, 20 years, something crazy like that.
That was too much.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So I feel like
I think what he's basically saying is how much, like, if you have a house or a car, and then you keep putting money into the money pit, and there's no really signs of it in the investment. When do you let the car go and get a new car? When you say, babe, you need to stop this expensive hobby of yours is draining our finances, and then we need to,
Yeah, I
we need
mean,
to go get a job.
if it's
target
affecting
somewhere.
our family and our lifestyle, then yes, I get it.
Mhm.
However, if it's not, and it's your dream, and I believe in your dream, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't see what the problem is.
I think you're more.
Personally,
I think he's more easygoing.
if I believe in it, do you feel me? Like that dude had a great vision. He gonna change the world.
Yeah, Philip.
And he
There
did
was
it.
no like. She still didn't have like full proof.
10 million. Oh, really?
No, it was like 100. He gave her 10 million.
You get what I'm saying?
That was what he wrote her a check for. He got like 100 million.
And let me ask
You
you,
gotta keep.
she wouldn't have got 10 million in her lifetime. So she could have retired.
But
With the
like you
Nico.
said, though, it's not about the money. The heartache she went through to get
I know,
to that
I know.
might be priceless.
There's no value you could put on your mama's house that got
I agree.
repossessed.
Did he buy it though? He bought it back.
Philip, again, this
Listen,
dude.
I'm just saying.
So let's keep this raw then. Will there ever be a point, a cutoff of Geomyra say she want to start a restaurant? Would there ever be a cutoff when you say, all right, we've been doing this for 2 years and it ain't working.
Personally,
Would you ever cut her vision off, or would you let her still just keep driving?
So here's the thing. The way we work, it's like a team effort.
Mhm.
So I don't think it would be I'm gonna cut her off. It's that we're gonna decide to open a restaurant,
Mhm.
and then if it doesn't work, we're gonna decide to do something else. I don't think we have that relationship where I'm gonna, hey babe, I'm taking all our money, I'm gonna open up a gym, and you're like, okay. It's not. We don't have that.
I think he
So
knows.
she feel, you feel, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm going to piggyback off of that. Well, we never answered the question of what advice you would have for creatives or entrepreneurs that
Patience.
are starting to pay for
Have
somebody
patience.
or
Have patience. Understand what they're doing. You can't really, I feel like, understand or have an opinion if you don't understand the work they have to put into what they're doing
Mhm.
and the process to get there. So you can't sit here and say, quit whatever you're doing if you don't know what it's going to take. It may take 10 years on average.
to like make a profit or
Right.
something. I think that's good advice because I know a lot of people who start dating creatives, and especially in the wedding industry, we have a wedding every weekend. You're shooting a wedding, you're planning a wedding.
Yeah, like go to the weddings. Like understand what they got to go through.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
some
go
people.
to what go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll
Be a
load
guest.
the truck. He would any wedding I did, he would load up all the stuff, and he
I
knew.
came to a couple weddings.
Yeah, he saw us working, and he
Wedding
knew.
parties.
Yeah, he knew that if I didn't call him, it was a heck of a lot of stuff going on because I didn't have a break. And so if I called them, like maybe when the vendors ate, he knew it was like going good and everything was smooth. So he kind of knew things, but he also knew what I was doing. I think a lot of people that don't get the support is that they don't bring people into their experience.
Right.
And so they don't realize how hard it is.
That's everything. That's even like
I
a normal
love
job.
that. I love that. I did what you just said.
What's that?
I've never thought about that.
What?
Bringing your spouse or significant other
Bring your
with you.
spouse to work.
Like you tell somebody what you do on a daily basis. It's easy to tell them, but they're like,
They think,
You
oh,
know
I
what
can
our
do
mom
that.
used to
That's
say? Our mom
not.
used to say, you can show them better than you can tell them. So this is advice for anybody that feels like their spouse doesn't understand them.
Right.
I don't care if you have to set up a camera. If you're a stay-at-home mom and you feel like the guy doesn't understand what is going on,
Right.
set up a camera and let him see you running around the house, going crazy, taking care of kids, sending them off, doing homework, going to the grocery store, sitting there paying bills, doing laundry, doing all the things. And that is how you can show them that you need support, you need help, or that you actually do have a job that you don't always feel like you're getting paid for. And I think that's something that people have to bring the person in so that they can sit in your seat, stand in your shoes, and realize that it's not as easy as you think it is, just because I'm not complaining all the time. So yeah, I think that is good advice. And I've snuck in on him at work, and I see his greeting people when they come in, explaining the product, all of that. And I'm right there when he takes calls at hours when people have a random question. So I know that his behind is like working. I know that what he's doing, and I think that is, that is pretty awesome. Okay, one question that someone has is, how do we balance giving each other personal space? We talked about us making time to be with each other. We have children. How do we give each other personal space so we not, being all up on each other, but then also knowing that we are still individual people, even though we are a union? How do we give each other personal space?
I mean, I know what I do. I don't know what you have.
I think we have our own,
Routine?
Yeah. I feel like at the end, once the kids are down or whatever, sometimes I might go back in the office. He might watch a game or just put his feet up.
I go to sleep late, so I can just. I'll stay up after 10 o'clock is like.
He goes to work later than most, so he has a really weird.
On time.
Yes, on time, but later than most as far as the hours that you need to be at work.
Right.
And I'm an early bird. He's a night owl, I'm an early bird. So we have our space there, and we just always been respectful that we have our own individual friends. So he goes on guys trips, I go visit friends, I go to spa with my girlfriend. So we know that we're individual people. And I think some people get married thinking that they have to stop being themselves, and that's not who you marry.
And our relationship was kind of founded on missing each other.
Yeah, because we
Our
did
long
long distance
distance,
for a while. Yeah, so we always had space.
Right.
So I think that's
We used
important. Yeah, I think that kind of helped us as well. Question next is, which one of us had to make the biggest sacrifice for the better of the household? Which one? I guess somebody wants to know who feels like they sacrifice more for the good of the household. Like, it's gonna go a whole bunch of ways.
Again, that goes back to my. I don't know. I feel like I didn't sacrifice.
You don't feel
Did you sacrifice?
sacrifice as far as?
I don't know. Good question. I don't feel like I did anything, took a step back, or had to do anything extra that I wouldn't have done anyway.
Let me just be very transparent in this moment.
Think about it.
Think about it. This might get edited out.
Fix my head.
I think that sacrificing, let me say this. When I decided to leave my job in corporate America, we had a long discussion, meetings and everything. When I left my job, and I was doing well in the job, we had a discussion, and you basically told me that we will figure it out, and that whatever we needed to do, you would find a way to step up to make sure that I was happy, because I wasn't feeling like I was fulfilling my purpose, and he knew I wasn't where I just didn't feel like that's where I was supposed to be. So he vowed to me that he would step up to make sure that we didn't have to make any crazy sacrifices financially. Because I'm always like, sometimes in the season that you're in, you have to take a step back before you can take a step forward. And he feels the opposite. He feels like you gotta step it up and do a lot more if you want more. And I feel like sometimes it's okay to fall back. So we just have different philosophies there. So from a sacrificing standpoint, I feel like he sacrificed more because he's definitely stepped up to make sure we didn't miss a beat. But then I think about when I did leave the job, I feel like I stepped it up with the mom and wife role. Meaning, I didn't have, even though I have a job with the coaching thing, my job is a lot more flexible. So I can not do certain things if it means that I'm there for the kids. I do a lot, at the school. I do a lot to make sure they get to where they need to be. And he had to step it up from a work perspective to make sure that we didn't miss a beat. But then that meant me being home, it's like nothing's out of place. We like our household run a certain way. So I sacrifice sometimes my time in my job to make sure that everything is like solid. And he sacrifices maybe doing some of the things that he may want to do, or just kind of being lazy if he wants to be lazy. He can't do that because he has a bigger burden on a financial standpoint. But then I have more of a responsibility to make sure clothes are clean, food's on the table, kids are this. Like, that's the sacrifice I make.
It's like, that's just like for us, it's like a hell of a feeling to focus on strictly work.
Right.
I know for sure home is straight.
Absolutely.
I know Leah's gonna take care of the house.
Right.
So I know for sure we all gonna eat, house gonna be clean, clothes, everything. So you don't even worry about home. You're more focused on work. So you're more driven on the next step of work, and the home is solid. So I think that's why I think a support system. If she was at home to sleep all day,
I would say, but it's a sacrifice. Like, is it
she
sacrifice?
sacrificed moving all the way to Europe.
Right.
For me, for her to leave her job to come to Europe with me is the ultimate sacrifice. Like for her to trust me to like Louis got it. Like take care of me and the kids. That's the ultimate sacrifice. I can never repay her for that. For her leaving everything behind to come with me is priceless. So for me to be at work, I know I can't mess up. I know I gotta keep driving to take care of them. And I know if I'm at work, I don't never, if she called me, it gotta be an emergency. And she'll never call me at work and be like, what you doing? Because I know she got it. Like, she got it. Even when I go to like Iraq, if I deploy somewhere, I never got worried about home. I see people deployed losing their hair because their wife is doing this and that. Or
let me cut you off. So I did mention my brother's in the military, so he is stationed in Europe right now. So we're visiting and hanging out and vacationing with them. So military families, we have like the biggest respect for them because there's a lot of sacrifice made there. But I think everybody sacrifices, everyone, that's what a team is.
I guess if I had to pick one, it'd be you, because you got a good point. You do step away from your job to do your other job, which is our house manager. So yeah, I can see that being. I don't think I do anything that I wouldn't have done anyway.
were y'all ever nervous about your switch?
Never nervous.
I mean, you're in sales, so you're always
on the edge. I just know that the people that we are, if I have to go take a job at the gas station or wear a red shirt and some khakis at Target, that is not beneath me. And I tell people that all the time. If you feel like you're ready to leave your 9 to 5, but you're uncertain about the income, roll into it slowly but surely if you have to. Get a part-time gig. Find other work. Substitute teach. Do whatever you have to do if you feel like the environment you're in and the 9 to 5 is toxic. As long as you're not a lazy person, you're always going to be taken care of if you just get your hands dirty sometimes and sacrifice there. Because peace of mind is something you cannot put a dollar amount on.
I think the biggest thing I take from both of y'all is y'all will figure it out.
We always say,
there will be no, what we gonna do? Like, baby, we got this.
Does that not sound familiar?
yeah.
I'm going to tell a story real quick. I'm not going to tell
You can tell
the story from us when he first started his job in sales. which is a job that it came out of like nowhere. He never had aspirations to. He didn't
So,
go to
let me
college for
say
this. Okay,
I
go.
didn't go to college.
No,
I have a master's in sports management. So, came out, actually was interning at UVA in the sports management side, promotion side. And I was like, man, it's gonna take a long time to be like AD and all that. So I came back home, and my first job was in sales related industry, but it was salary but sales. And then I got another sales job, and then I got another sales job, and then I got opportunity to interview. I was getting my real estate license. My uncle was like, man, get your real estate license. That's where it's at, real estate. So I got my license. In the process of getting my license, I got an opportunity to work for new homes. And then I started working in home sales. But the company I was with, there was no like training program. It was more like you train as you work, and they give you like 2 months.
Let's just throw you in there.
Yeah.
And if you don't start selling after your training like 2 months, then
You're out.
So I remember meeting up with like Veronica, doing like financing on the side, meeting up with like some other salespeople, like on my own, just trying to do whatever to get as much knowledge as possible. Because then you're trained by your competition. It's like up system. So like when someone walks in the door, if her and I are working together in the neighborhood, she's training me. She still got ink.
Oh, yeah.
So she'll get you the next one to me, but she's like, whatever. Like if you make it, that's good. Luckily, the one I had was actually pretty awesome. So we're still cool. But anyway, so she was training me, and then I said like 6 months into it, VP came, had to talk with me. Like, you better start selling. I'm like, dang. But I was like, I'm cool because I was just now figuring it out. And I was like, I got some things lined up. I didn't know how to close all the way. So I was like, man,
So tell him
I got them.
Tell him when you came home. I had to tell him you had that.
I know. So I was working close by the house. So I had to come home and cook. So this is when I had to cook.
Yeah.
And I made my special spaghetti.
He got his signature dish.
And she came home. So I mean, about her day and how she wasn't happy. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Made her play. I was like, yeah, gotta taste something.
We had just had Peyton, by the way.
Oh yeah, exactly.
We had just had our first child. We had just bought a house. My mom, had she passed away yet? And it was in that season of either taking care of a sick parent or one was about to, she had just passed.
I don't think so.
But it was a lot.
Oh yeah, she had, yeah.
It was a lot
She
happening.
was sick,
Yeah.
for sure.
It was a lot happening in that season of our lives. So he comes home, I come home, and he had made dinner. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet, whatever. And he's like, so I
It wasn't
need
even PG night. We just making dinner.
yeah. He's like, I need to talk to you about something. In the middle of the meeting, like garlic
She's
bread. I'm like, what? So he told me that the VP came, but the thing that he did that I will never forget is he looked me dead in my eyes and he said, I got you. We're gonna be okay. I got you. I'm not gonna.
Right with you.
He said, we're not gonna fail. I got you. He said, no, you know what you also said? You asked me the one question, do you trust me? You asked me,
No, I got that from Brett.
so what movie?
Aladdin.
Aladdin.
Yeah. You remember that part?
I
You
don't,
trust me?
I'm not a movie person like him. So he asked me, do you trust me? And I stopped and I said, yeah, I do. And that was it. Next thing I know, this dude was on fire, selling, hustling.
I like one of the awards like that.
Yeah, he won
Next
a
one.
sales award. He just knew
Free
he had
iPad.
ambitions and was on it.
Was the VP a wake up call or was it more or
I
less?
think it was a sign from God to say, step it up.
No, it was.
So if he would have came, you
No, I still would have.
Okay, alright.
But it was like a
forced
fire,
him-
like.
Oh yeah.
Stuff
But I think it also forced him
Mr. Carlson.
to.
Hey, to the market? Oh, yeah, cool. Next card.
Yeah.
You know, it was
I think
one of
it
those.
forced him to figure out different
It
ways
was.
to get things done because he knew he had to get things
Cause
done.
here's the thing, I was making like triple the money. So a deal or two was like, we're good. But it was like, nah, that ain't enough for them. So,
Oh, for them.
yeah. For
For
me,
us,
we were good.
We were living
Based on
fine.
my other jobs, I was like, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were feeling good, and then they were like, these sales numbers aren't good
Yeah.
for the company.
It's all about, it's like, we need some,
You need to step it up.
you saw one last week, what about this week? I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah, you gotta sell. And that was what he needed, and from there, we just kind of made it work.
So I'm buying that mentality, like, you only lose your last sale, is our term in the industry. So you can have like 10 sales in a month. Then the first of the month is like, all right, what are you gonna do? What's your goals? Like, dang, we just so.
Yeah. I like that though. I like that.
So another question we have is, do we schedule meetings to discuss household items?
Yes.
Yeah, we do, and I think some of it, we spend a little bit of time sometimes on our date nights to do like logistics, and then we try to leave anything heavy off the table. Kids stuff we talk about, I'm like, hey, this is what we have going on with the kids.
Yeah, I feel like we have to now. Like, we are super busy
Yeah.
with,
I schedule meetings just to talk.
we have to.
About like house stuff.
That's corny.
No, we have to though.
That's corny.
If we didn't, nothing, like, we wouldn't get
It's one thing to just, hey, but to schedule a meeting to talk to.
It's a lot.
That's corny.
It's a
No,
lot. It's a lot.
he'll say, hey, when I come sometime this evening, can we discuss what we have coming up? Like,
So we split a lot of stuff. Like, if,
I get it. You be telling me y'all gotta say what you don't want at 6 o'clock on Thursday.
Yeah.
That's-
we do
Yeah.
calendar invites.
yeah, we'll send calendar invite. It'll be things like,
Alright.
Organization.
yeah, we
Bro,
have to.
the day I gotta call you to schedule to talk to you, how y'all do sex? like, god damn. Thursday night, you better be wet. Oh, sorry, PJ, excuse me.
We're gonna leave that one off. No, but honestly, things will be off the rate. Like trips, like coming to see you guys. Hey, what's the move?
Yeah.
Where are we going?
We
I
had
get
to,
that.
we had to schedule that.
I-
We talk.
What?
We talk about this
We
trip.
can't do it
Is
on
that
the
once
fly.
a week?
Whenever something
Yes,
like it's a
ma'am.
lot. I feel like things build up, and I'm like, oh my! Like we just said, we got to talk about Disney. We'll have things
Yeah.
like brainstorm.
Like, it's like,
That should be like spontaneous.
No,
You
you
can't.
can't. You got to talk about the days
You
we
really
need to
can't.
take off.
so here's the thing. Like, her schedule's like booked from, I'm gonna say even 4 in the morning, from when Jackson wake up to use the bathroom,
Yeah.
to legit, probably like 10 at night.
Honestly,
It's something to do. It's not like we're never sitting around like, let me call her real quick. Hey, what you doing right now? Hey, let me talk about. No, it's,
all right, give us insight on, give the viewers, the listeners, excuse me, insight on how do you set up a scheduled meeting? How does it work? Because I've never heard anybody say they had a scheduled meeting to talk to their spouse.
So
So I'm just
so hold
confused.
on. It's not to talk to them, but
To discuss that.
to discuss something important.
So how's it work? Go. I'm curious.
okay. So what
If,
I'm
let me just background.
Go
If she would call me in the middle of a meeting on the way to a meeting and say something important, I'm gonna forget.
because his mind
Hey,
is
Jackson has practice Tuesday. It's not at 3 o'clock. It's at 4 o'clock. It's a different location. Okay, cool. And guess what I'm gonna do Tuesday? I'm going to the same location, not paying attention. Oh, dang, you didn't tell me that. So instead of doing that,
Let me tell you why. Because with him,
you know,
like he said, he has a one-track mind. So if he's
That's not
focusing on a closing,
I'm
he
multitasking.
focuses. You tried it. If he's focusing on a closing, he has somebody in front of him. He'll answer the phone to make sure I'm good, but then he can't be in the zone. So I'll say to him,
you're
hey,
right. I'm like, don't talk to me.
I'll
Same
say,
thing.
hey,
You can't move.
Phil, we need to chat about the schedule for the week because some things are different this week.
Right.
Peyton has chess club, Jack has soccer, we have our mentor group meetings. The cleaning people are coming on this day, so I need you to do this and this. So then he can focus on what needs to happen.
I get it. How do you set it up? That's what I'm all
So
about.
I'll call him and say, no, you'll mainly call me and say, hey, we need to talk about like bills for the month, or hey, we need to talk about whatever. I say, okay, cool. Well, when the kids are down for bed, how about you come in the office and then we can pull up stuff on the computer and then go over whatever.
Right.
Because you know why? Sometimes as soon as he comes to the door, daddy, they're like
It's-
crazy for him. And then I'm making dinner, he hanging out with them. You gotta put the kids down for bed because he comes home late.
Right. We
I
got.
schedule meetings to talk.
About logistics.
How do y'all do it? I mean, you acting like it's.
But you know, hey, cool. Let's go. It's not no at 10 o'clock.
Communication.
But here's the thing, though.
Should be
Here's the thing.
improved.
See, she
Here's
said
the thing.
communication can be improved.
Listeners,
We don't not talk if
Yeah, we don't
talk
say it's
all the
off
time.
the-
listeners,
But
can you please
more
comment
important
on
stuff.
our podcast? Is it weird to schedule an appointment to talk to your spouse?
Hey, questions are done.
I'm just curious. Y'all mean to tell me you'll call your husband, you'll call your wife, and say, "Hey, at 10 o'clock
You know why?
Wednesday, we need to talk." I get it.
No, that's it. When I call her,
Y'all
she's
like-
in the middle of doing something. She
Yeah.
might be recording a podcast.
But y'all sleep right next to each other every night.
We don't sleep at we don't go to bed at the same time though all the time. We said earlier, he goes to bed super late watching random things. I'm not a TV person, so
And the thing with her, when she go to bed, she go to bed. It's not like I'm gonna go watch TV
Alright.
for 2 hours. Like she's working in her office,
And when I go upstairs, don't
and
come.
then when she goes upstairs, it's like it's a wrap.
I'm trying to picture somebody saying, I have to schedule a meeting to talk about stuff in the house.
We have a lot
That-
going
I have
on.
the utmost respect for y'all.
And that's how I know that he's paying attention to me because there is
Obama's,
plenty of
the Tiger Woods, and then this.
the Tiger
Pollard.
Woods is
Yo, that's crazy to me. Like,
You know, I think the thing is we realize that things aren't what they used to be. We're moving a lot faster. Our kids are involved in more activities. He is busier with his job, and I'm busy in my job. So because of that, I want him to hear me. So that is uninterrupted
And I
time.
don't want to mess up
so
what she told me.
I hate to say this, but is the money worth it?
With what?
Worth
The crazy.
not the
The
I'm gonna
crazy.
see you every second of the day. The crazy. Basically, is it worth it? Like, it's
What crazy though? This is our normal.
Yeah.
I expect
that's not normal, y'all. Come on.
I expect it is a
That's
normal.
their normal.
Yeah.
That's
Let me know.
they're normal because they're normal because
Let me tell you why.
I'm talking about that's not.
Let me tell you why it's normal, bro. It's normal because it works for us. That's what's normal.
That's what I say. To a normal family, if you tell somebody that's like 7 years old, they got a scheduled appointment, they'd be like, what? Because
It's not scheduling an appointment per se. It's blocking some time
There you go.
for
That's
what it
everybody
is.
attention to
That's all it
discuss.
is.
So when you go on your phone and you go to schedule an appointment, you're blocking time. So
Yeah.
you're scheduling.
So I'm not gonna plan time to watch the game or sit upstairs and do nothing.
You're the type, if she tries to talk to you, you're going to be watching the game, you
Right.
might be on your phone, you might be talking to your friends, bruh. And she might want to get something to, because I don't like to repeat myself. Let me just say that. That's one of my pet peeves. If I told you once, you need to be like paying attention because I don't have time to be going back and forth. So the reason why we do that is because there were times where I'm like, hey Phil, don't forget we need to do this, and
I'll
then
forget.
he would forget.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I can't do this with you because it's too much for me to remember, especially now.
Even me. Like I'll say some things that she'd be like, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, he'll say, oh, don't forget, we have a gala for work
Yeah.
and this, and I'm like, oh snap, he does have a gala, so I can't, so that's the reason why.
So why not just be on the couch all day? Y'all don't have every time.
We don't sit on the couch like that. That's what I'm saying. We
Y'all
don't have.
y'all missing the golden years of your life.
How?
Yeah, I
Y'all
don't,
don't get to watch TV on a weekday just to
I
chill.
don't watch TV.
Y'all get to rub feet. Y'all get to
We do.
feed each other.
We
food.
do. And Mykonos.
On vacation.
In the
That's
villa.
why they have their weekly date nights.
Right, that's another sad meeting.
But it's
Here's the
still,
thing.
it's still like watching Netflix on a Tuesday.
We don't
Nah.
watch Netflix on Tuesdays.
Why would you? Let me ask you. Is it worth it to watch? And it's not for you, but just in general. Is it worth it to watch Netflix on Tuesday in your state, or would you rather go somewhere on a date night or a date week, or go see Drake for a day? Like it is worth it. I just pick another day. I'm like, okay, do I work too much?
I get it. There's pros and cons. I just think on an everyday basis of coming home to your spouse.
You're addicted
Having
to what
that-
you're exposed to, and if you're exposed to, again, no shade to anyone. If you want to do McDonald's, seriously, I'm not being shady. If you want to do McDonald's and then go home and watch Netflix, that's fine.
So I'm asking.
But my family likes lemons. They like they do.
So you said sacrifice. So you're like, all right.
Let me give you
It's not even sacrifice. It's just what you
let
work
me give
for.
you
Like
the-
you work for.
Let me-
It's
hold on.
technically a sacrifice though, because
It's not though.
because the typical.
Let me give you this example.
Okay.
Back in when I was in like college, getting out of college. Y'all know I love handbags, right? So I was always every like quarter I would buy a Coach bag, a Michael Kors bag, or something back then, right? So you're spending $300-400 each every 3-4 months that I'm collecting all these bags. Then I got hip to the fact of, you know what? If I just stop like nipping and spending 300-400 pockets here and actually save up, that's when I bought my first Louis because I wasn't spending like a little bit of money. And so that's the same thing how we vacation. We don't take little piddly trips sometimes. For us, because we are busy, we will just go big or go home.
And when you're in sales, if I got a meeting after hours and running late, but she knows a purpose to it.
we gotta pay the bills.
Right.
And we also know that.
And then guess what? My family doesn't. It's not like I'm missing out on Netflix and chill because I have a designated time to hang out with Peyton weekly, if not every day. But when they're busy, weekly. Jackson gets a day. Geomyra gets a day. We have a family day. We have a lot of days in a week. Our scheduled time we have blocked off.
That's another question we have. Somebody asked, we have 2 children, and we do have busy schedules. How do we make our children feel like they are priority and that we're not spending one time with another? And I'm going to start with this. When Phil started his job in sales, he had a job, his job, he works weekends. Like my job, I work weekends. And so he had 2 off days in the middle of the week. So what he would do, since our daughter was 2, is that he would have a designated snack party day. And they would go to like the 7-Eleven or whatever, and she could pick out a snack or a treat. And then he would watch some kid movie with her. So that was their snack party.
That's why she's like a movie person now.
Right. He would make it a fun daddy-daughter date day. And it would be like an hour because she was, 2. So whatever kept her attention at the time. Fast forward, Peyton is 9. So, hey, it's snack party day. Yeah. So now I'm like, hey, y'all need a snack out the pantry. But Dad will bring home Slurpees. And they'll do snack party.
Jackson crashes.
Jackson now crashes the party. And they'll...
He gets mad when they over. Oh,
yeah, snack party's over. Like he hates it.
It's not even for him, but
it's Phil and Peyton's one-on-one time, and I just started getting invited, but I let them have their little snack party. But it is a designated father-daughter time, which I love because growing up I didn't have designated time with my parent, so that is their thing. And then I'll hang out with Jackson sometimes, or I'll pick him up early from school, and then we'll take him to go get like ice cream.
Jackson and I do game night.
Yeah.
We'll play video games. I got like arcade little
console thing.
Yeah, we'll play that.
And that's like their one-on-one time. And then I have Peyton and I have a girls' day, and we'll do one-on-one things. And Jack and I'll pick him up early, and then we'll do like stuff together. So we definitely.
And then our family nights.
And then we'll have a family night.
We eat dinner at least 3 to 4 times a week together.
At the table.
At the table with no TV.
Yeah, I really try to implement that because those are things that we ate as like siblings together, but we didn't eat with our parents at a table growing up.
We never had one family.
We did.
No, y'all did, Phil did, but George and I didn't. We didn't do that, and I feel like you learn a lot about your children when you have that uninterrupted time.
Yeah. We had family dinner one time.
One time, how about
and
that?
I remember it was so awkward. My mom said, "We'll never do this again." It was super awkward. We was all sitting there. We was all like, "So," my mom said, "Yeah, go to your room." We all trying to play to our room. We was like, "Yeah, that's not us." We were eating our room.
Was it the norm?
It was just super weird. My mom was like going for it.
No, because but for us, it's like Peyton was like, "I'll set the table."
Yeah.
And Jackson will say the dinner prayer, and then he'll get the little mat. But we try to as much as we can to have that because it's important. So that was a question we had: is how do we make the kids feel like they are a priority and having the one-on-one time as well? Question, Phil, people want to know is, what would you say is one of my best traits?
PG.
Philip.
I'm sorry. Why are you looking at me like that?
I already warned you
I'm sorry.
that we are.
Best traits. I would say, you are very, what's the word? You're very, maybe giving, I want to say. You definitely think about others before yourself. You put other people before yourself. How about that?
You took my answer.
What?
That I feel like for you, you're selfless. You work hard so that everybody around you is taken care of. If people know us, they know Phil makes us spend. He is the cheapest person you will meet when it comes to spending money on himself. He doesn't buy anything for himself, and I buy everything. I spend the money. I'll buy clothes. I'll buy everything that he needs. He won't spend any money, and he will make sure that everybody in the family is good. And I think that is something that a lot of people are selfish about, but you make sure everybody around you is everybody eats. Like, everybody eats. So that's the trait that I think is awesome. Describe each other in one word.
You go first.
Everything.
Oh, gangsta.
I never heard that. That's pretty good. I actually like that.
You are my everything.
But
Hey, that good one.
where does everything come? Like, come on now.
Some days he's my headache. Some days he's my comfort. Some days he's, like, every day he's my best friend. Like, he is everything that I need. He's just everything. I can't think of another.
Let's not let Phil escape from this.
Yeah.
One word.
Heck.
You are. I say phenomenal. That's my word.
Viewers, listeners, I'm gonna say something.
Why not?
I was
But I
speaking,
was
no,
like,
no,
hold on.
I respect that. That was
Let him say what he has to say.
I'm speaking from a neutral perspective here.
How are you neutral? You're my brother.
Alright, what's the word that you would say?
No.
You know us all the time.
No.
Let him
I'm gonna get to the nitty gritty. Let's talk about the bad stuff in marriage.
Okay.
We talk about this Hallmark and butterflies card, like marriage.
That's next.
Yes, let's get to that. Because I think anybody can look at a movie and like, oh, marriage is yada yada yada. But
Marriage is hard.
it is hard. So I think people more or less want to know, how do you get past the hard times? What makes marriage hard? Like stuff like that. Like it's easy to say the good stuff. Cause me and her, we're married. We go through good and bad stuff. So we get to tell everybody the good stuff about marriage. But I think it's hard for people to open up about the bad stuff because they don't want to express. Cause
they don't want to expose.
Yeah, they don't want to say like we have bad times, which everybody does. Like, if you married and have bad times, then you're not married.
All right, let me. I get where you're going. I think go for some of these questions. Things about marriage that are, and I say marriage is hard, but honestly, I don't feel like it's that hard to be married to him. Go ahead.
Because you're a friend, I guess.
Well, it's that, but it's also, I think, in my opinion, the people that are married and don't feel as challenged, I guess, they go into it with a different perspective. I feel like if you go into marriage knowing you're marrying not just that person, but like their family, knowing that their goals and you guys grow together and stay on track with that same vision, it's not as challenging as someone that's married someone doesn't know the background of the family or goes into it individually like, all right, this is what I want to do. What are you going to bring to the table? That is a challenging, that's when it gets hard. You're like all about yourself and leaving that person behind.
Phil's always said that when you marry someone, it's one of the biggest investments you will ever make. Because if you're marrying a girl that doesn't challenge you to be the best version of yourself, then that's not going to work in your benefit. If you marry a girl and you don't feel like she's mom material, then your kids ain't going to basically allow you to build a certain legacy.
You have a daughter and you're like, you're supposed to do that, and she don't know any better.
So he always says that about Peyton. Like,
right.
He knows that I'm teaching her how to be like a young lady, and I know I invested in a husband that's going to teach my son how to be a nice, respectable young man. So marriage is an investment. So people who are not married right now, think about your investment. When you have kids with somebody or marry someone, it is an investment into your future, into your legacy. But I think with us, why I don't feel like marriage is so hard is because of the